We're talking now with Loren Giesler, a plant pathologist, University of Nebraska Extension, at the Soybean Management Field Days. And Loren, as we look another year to talk about and learn about some of the situations going on, and right now it seems like one of the things that people are most concerned about is sudden death syndrome in these soybeans.
Well, that's right, Ken, and right now is that key time. So every year we know if it's going to show up, it's going to show up right in those R5 growth stages, typically about in the middle. We had another year, just like last year, where we had really cool soil temperatures, a lot of moisture up front, and we had frequent rains and rains into flowering. Those three things, that cool early wet and then rain at flowering, is what triggers SDS. So I just really encourage everybody out there to make sure they're identifying it correctly. If it is SDS, make sure they're splitting stems, because brown stem rot can have similar foliar symptoms. So when we see those plants like that, we're going to split those stems and look and see if it's brown stem rot or if it's sudden death. The next thing is you really got to do an assessment on how much of that field's affected. So we might see patches and it might look really bad in those little pockets, but does that warrant full management of the field for that? So you want to kind of keep a good record book.
So the best thing is do a full look at the field. No, maybe just go in a few rows or something, but maybe do spot checks throughout all the places.
Well, definitely spot checks and see what the actual problem is. But the other thing is, even from the road though, if SDS is really bad, you're going to be able to see it. So, but just make sure you're going out and checking to see that it is SDS. A lot of our farmers, I know last year we thought we had SDS and some of them had brown stem rot. So just make sure they're identifying it, they're getting out there and doing it. The other thing with SDS, those plants will pull real easy. They'll have a lot of fibrous roots, but they won't have much of a taproot. And again, that's why it shows up now. That tracks with peak water use. So when we see SDS, it's always going to be right there during that seed filling time. So that infection occurred much earlier, but now's the time where you're going to see it.
The other issue that I guess continues to be of concern, soybean cyst nematodes, somewhat under control, but it's still out there. And I noticed with some of the farmers, you asked them, and at least a lot of them are using testing, but still more could be doing it.
Oh, absolutely. And the reason that we keep offering these, we have these soil sample bags, and anyone can contact their local University of Nebraska Extension office and get these soil sample bags. It's at no cost. It's their soybean checkoff. The soybean board funds that through the checkoff, and they can get that right back by take the soil, put it in it, send it to our lab, we'll process it and get it back. Every year we continue to find growers that have problems, that their populations are high, they're not thinking about cyst nematode. You can't see it. That's the problem with it, Ken. So I think that's the issue. So if anyone has soybean yields that are dropping, plateauing, they can't explain some spots in the field, good time to sample for cyst nematode. One other thing, if they have SDS, soil's moved that way, so good indication maybe cyst is in the field there as well.
What else are you talking to farmers about at these meetings?
Well, any of our stem and root rots right now is a big thing. We're seeing Phytophthora in some areas. That's another one we can highlight. Right now you can see Phytophthora, and again, just keeping the record book. All of these, you can't do much about it right now, but what you can do is look for future years in planting and selecting that right, using those resistant varieties or genetics to manage it. That's at no cost. So do those and make sure you're managing it right that way. The other thing we're highlighting on these are some of our studies that we've done over the last 3 years, really, looking at fungicides, insecticides, seed treatments, combinations, just really trying to identify if we see triggers or points that those are always consistently going to be profitable for farmers. Many of them are using these products and it's paying. So we're just kind of looking at it and saying, okay, where does it pay, when does it not? Can't say that we have a full conclusion on that yet, but I consistently see some of those foliar fungicides, we're past that time now for most of our fields, but once they get past R4, really don't recommend much in that, but before that, a lot of them using those.
All right, Loren, well, we know you got more to do, so we appreciate your time. Thanks for the update.
Well, thanks for the coverage, Tim.
Loren Giesler, plant pathologist, University of Nebraska Lincoln, at a soybean field outside of Greenwood, Nebraska. I'm Ken Rogers.